Hi, I'm Don, and this is The Hobbyist Geek. Welcome back, y'all. Today is part 6 of this forest adventure build, and look at this beast. Awesome. If all goes according to plan, today is the day we finish this thing up. So how about enough talking from me? Let's get right back into it. Hi there. Before we get into today's build, this is your reminder to like, share, and subscribe. And if you feel the content is worth it, you can join our membership right here on YouTube, where you'll have access to all of my videos as soon as they are uploaded, typically months in advance. And now, back to the build. All right, we're going to kick things off with step 205. And first thing we're going to do is take our little toilet here, and that is going to glue right in there in that corner. Then we're going to take, it's around here somewhere, there it is, this little sink that we built, and there's a laser etched outline right here. That is where this will glue in. So that probably didn't show up very well. My hand was probably in the way, but you know, about here-ish. So it's not going to be on the floor. It's going to be glued to the back. And then we're going to take our bathtub here, and that is going to glue in this corner. Do not let the lip go past the edge of the floor, the raised floor, okay? There is a little bit of a lip here. There will be a wall placed here, so don't let the tub go beyond that, okay? So let me get this glued in, and I'll be right back. And there we go. Note that I also don't have this edge lined up with this. There's going to be something else put here, which we'll do in just a second. And it's not over the lip of our raised edge either. So that is how it should look. We've got our raised sink and our toilet. We are good there. Alrighty, next up, we've got another section of this M19 copper wire. This is supposed to be 47 millimeters long. And what we're going to do is we're going to just curve this tip so that it's 180. Let me go ahead and curve it. I'll show you what it looks like. There we go, just like that. And now we have two of these little M97 pieces. And what we're going to do is glue one to the base like that, and one up top. If I can get this in, much like that. We're basically creating a little shower pipe. Afterwards, it'll glue right here on the edge of the tub. So let me get that done. I'll show you what it looks like. And there you go. Should look a little something like that. And with that done, we're going to take this piece from step 187 with the papered side facing outward, and we're going to glue that in right, camera's not there, right along this lip and along that edge. So let me go ahead and glue this in, and I'll show you what it looks like. And there we go. Look at that. And that, my friends, is the end of step 205. All right, let's see what's next. That actually wasn't true. There is one more step in 205, and that would be this. This is F3. Note the thin end and the fat end. The fat end is going to glue along this wall in this little yellow area here. The thin end will glue down here. There's also another marker for it. Alignment is very, very important here. But basically, it's going to go like so. And block this off. So let me go ahead and get that glued in too. Alrighty, there we go. Now, alignment is crucial. So before this glue dries, I want to get the next step in. We have two more pieces. We have step 185 and step 189. 185 is going to glue here, okay? And this edge needs to line up with this piece. This edge needs to line up with that piece, so we're going to block this off. Unfortunately, in both this case and that case, my wood is a little bit warped, so that's going to be fun. And then this is going to glue right in here, just like so. So let me go ahead and get all of this glued in place. All right, look at that. All right, I think I got it. It certainly looks really, really good. So I am happy with it. Let's see what's next. All right, next up, we're going to take this, which is E5, and we have 2-33 paper, and we're just going to glue this right on top. So let's get that done. All righty, and now that we have this, we're just going to glue it right on top to these two little edges right there. So let me go ahead and get this glued in just like that. And there we go. Look at that. Awesome. All right. Next up is going to be kind of fun, because what we're going to be doing here is taking a piece of this M12 and it's cut to the -3 template. And what we're going to do is glue the corrugated side here to these rounded edges. So it should go in much like this. Trying to make it flush with the piece we just glued in up here. And it should go all the way down and look much like that. So let's get that glued in too. Alrighty, look at that. And now we're going to take 2-32 and we're going to glue that down right on top. Now, for whatever reason, things don't line up just the way you hope. Make sure that this front edge and this edge are in alignment. If you have, say, a little gap here, which, I mean, I don't in mine, but if you do, don't worry about it. This whole area here is about to get covered as well. So let's go ahead and get this in. All right, y'all, look at that. That is pretty cool. I think that looks nice. That's actually the end of step 206 and 207. And now it's time for 208, in which we have M14 to the -2 template. First thing you want to do is fold along that dotted line, much like that, so you have that crease. That crease is what's going to go on this corner. So it should go just like so, all nice and neat. So let's get this on too. And there you go. Step 208 is complete. And doesn't that just look pretty? All right, let's see what's next. Alrighty, y'all. Here we are with the parts for step 209. We're bringing out this beauty with our other chandelier here. Note, where the LED cable is, that is the back. And then this will be the front. We've got 2 of these D6 pieces. And that big slot in the middle, it's going to go into this slot. And then you got another D6 for over here. My plan is to take where the etching is, front, facing the outside for both. So let me get those in. There we go, just like that. Now, what you're going to want to do is make sure that your cable here comes like this. Now you can leave it loose, or you can maybe put a little tape in there, but it's going to come out right around here-ish. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put some tape in there just to hold it down. There we go. Just like that. Now we're going to take E4 here. And these 2 tabs here and here on the back side are going to go into those slots in the middle. So let's get those in. There we go, just like that. And we have E3 here, and those will do the same for the front. So let's get that in too. Look at that. All right, and that is the end of step 209. All right, to kick off step 210, we have 2 of these D12 pieces. And these are actually going to go on the tabs along the side, right through the center slots. So let's go ahead and plug those in too. And there we go. Outstanding. All right, next up, we have these 4 paper pieces. We have 2 of these 2-28s. We have one 2-31, and this one is 2-29. And the 28s will go on either side. This 29 will go right here, and the 31 will be for the back. So we're just going to glue everything on, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, here we are. Look at that. And that is the end of step 211. Step 211. No, that's not right. 210. That's the end of step 210. Alright, here's what we're going to need for 211. We're going to kick things off with 2 of these. These are H9s. Now this diagonal here is what's going to glue to our model. Don't even know where that came from, but should glue on just like so. Make very sure that the shorter edge here is facing upwards and this longer edge is facing forwards. And you're going to have one on either side of this hole, right on the edge, just like that. So let's go ahead and get all of that glued in. All right, should look kind of like that when you're done. And with that in place, you have this H11 piece, and that is going to glue right on front, just like that. So let's get this in place too. There you go, look at that. And to top it off, we have 2 E9s. Note the angled edge, that's gonna face the roof. And this long straight edge, that is gonna be right here at the top. So should go on like that. And then you kind of flip it around so that you get like that for the other side. So let's go ahead and get this on too. All right, should look a little something like that when you're done. We're gonna let this glue dry before we get to the next part. Okay, now this is not attached to the model yet. I've just set it up here to kind of avoid damaging the chandelier any more than I already have. But we do have two of these 2-30 pieces, and they are going to glue here and here, just like this. So let's go ahead and get those glued in too. All right, there we are, glued in. Now, you might notice we got all these seams all along. Well, we're gonna be taking care of that here in just 1 second. First, we're gonna get this. This is M14 cut to the -5 template. And as per usual, we're gonna fold along the dotted line. And you note this triangular space, that is for this. So this should come along this seam, this fold will come along this one, and then this down there. So let's go ahead and get this in. All right, look at that. And now we have more M14 to the -6 template. We're gonna do the same thing on this corner. Alrighty, there we go. Now, before we finish this, if you want, you can use some of this grass meal here. This is actually not part of the instructions, but you can use some of this grass meal. Try to maybe cover up some of these seams here, maybe even go down all along. Totally up to you how you want to personalize it. But before we get there, we have more of this M14 cut to the -1 template. And we're gonna fold it along the dotted line, and we're gonna place it right here on that area. So let's get that done too. Alrighty, look at that. All right, one more bit before we can start personalizing. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take G25 and we're going to put that tab here into this slot on the long edge of G24. Just like that. Same thing on the other side with another G24. Just like that. And we have this G26 a piece that'll go into the back, again, tabs into the slots. Just like that. And now we have two of these K8 pieces, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna stack them, glue them on top of each other just like that, and then we're gonna glue them on top of this assembly just like that. So let me get that glued together. And it should look like that when you're done. And we can bring out the roof again. And take note of that little rectangular bit right there. Well, that is where this is gonna glue right in. So it should fit right up in there, just like that. So let's get some glue on there and get that in. All right, look at that. That is spectacular. Okay, now you can personalize a little bit if you want, or you can glue this on and save your personalization for later, which is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait until the end and then do all of my personalization after the fact. But now, I'm gonna lift the roof up, and if you take a look underneath, you can see little areas. It won't focus, but in each of those corners where the joints meet, there's like a little notch. This is on the front, on the back, on the sides, and those are gonna sit on top of those four walls. So you're gonna wanna get some glue in there and make sure your LED cable is out the back, okay? Going down the wall outside, just like that. And then we'll just glue it down on top. So let me take care of that. Alrighty, and when all is said and done, that should look beautiful. You should have your chandelier hanging down there, just like that. And around the back side here, see your cable coming out just there. And that is, I think, the last roof done. All of the rooms are complete, but there is still so much more to go. So let's get on it. All right, for this next segment, we're gonna take this. This is M12, cut to the -2 template. And that is gonna glue all along this edge here, starting at the stairs and moving all the way over to the edge of the house. Make sure you line it up with the bottom and that you've got a lip left at the top, because we're gonna be putting another flower bed like we did with the kitchen. So let's get this in. Alrighty-o, there it is, looking spectacular. And we do have a little bit of a lip here, so that's good too. And now we have another piece of M14 cut to the -9 template, and that is going to glue along the upper edge of this little fence that we just installed, so that it looks like moss is kind of hanging down. So let's go ahead and get this glued in too. Look at that. Absolutely awesome. Now, up in this cavity here, not all the way up to the doorways, of course, just along the fence line, we're going to be making another flower bed. It's going to be just like this one here. We're going to be using some more of this. We get 2 of these. Now, these are actually supposed to be different colors, but I think I screwed up. I think one of these was supposed to be used by the kitchen flower bed, and then you get one of these and then that purple one for up here, but that's okay. I'll just use these 2 of the same color, and I'm sure it will look great. We got this puppy. We got the pink one. And we got this purple one that doesn't want to let go of that. And we're going to be using all of those things to create a nice little flower bed up here. Now, I'm not going to give you step-by-steps on this because we've already done it down here, and it's the same basic premise all along here. And if you made it this far in the build, I am sure you know how to do this by now. So let me get this done, and I will show you what the end result looks like. And there it is, y'all. One garden area on the upper level. Look at that. Now, I'm sure you guys can do a better job than me, but I think it came out looking pretty good. All right. Next up, this. That's right. This is M45. It's just a bag of rocks is really all it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this pond all the way around with these rocks, just placing them one by one along the edge. So let me go ahead and get that done. I'll show you what it looks like. Alrighty, what do you think of that? That looks great. I think it came out wonderfully. One thing to note, not quite enough rocks in this pack to actually go all the way to the end there. And then all of these are not white, they're different colors. So I put them here at the back. Obviously, from a straight on view, you would never see them, which is why I put it that way. But in the end, I think that actually looks pretty good. All right, that is the end of step 219. Let's see what's next. Alrighty-o. At this point, I'm actually going to start jumping around in the instructions. So if you've been following along step by step, you may get a little confused because I'm not going to exactly follow the order of operations in the instructions. The objective here is to create the remaining accessories. Okay, we're going to be doing all of the plant builds and the little decorations and that kind of thing. And then once we finished all that, we'll go back and start placing them on the model. So we're going to start with, we're skipping step 220 for now. And we're going to start with 221. We're going to need 2 of these M32 pieces and 2 of these D13 pieces. And basically what you're going to want to do is cut about half the stem off here, give or take. And then we're going to glue it right in here. Make us a little plant. We're going to do it twice. Alrighty, there we go. 2 done. They're not going to stand on their own until we glue them onto the base. So that is as far as we can go. We'll let those dry and move on. Alright, step 222 is basically the same thing, except now we're using M37. We're going to take 2 of these blooms. We're going to put them onto 2 more of those D13 planks. So let me get that done. Alrighty, there we go. And these are far better balanced, so they can stand. Alright, that's the end of that step. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, here, step 223. We have this beauty. This is M34. And we have this. This is M82. And we're going to be cutting all 4 of these stalks off of this base and gluing them in here to make a potted plant. So let's get that done too. And there you go. Look at that. Incredible. Let's see what's next. All right, skipping ahead again to step 225. We have 2 D2 pieces, 2 D4 pieces, and 1 D5. And we have paper that will glue on top of all of them. These are 2-34. These are 2-35. And this one is 2-36. And we're just going to glue them all on as shown. So let me get that done. And there we go. All 5 are in place and ready to rock and roll. All right, still on step 225. We're going to take 2 of our LEDs here. And we're basically going to push them into these. We've got 2 of these M65 beads. And I'm just going to push that in. And you will want to kind of glue that in place as so. And we're going to do that twice. And there we go. 2 down. And that should finish off 225, at least for our purposes right now. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to knock the camera there. All right, moving ahead to step 226. We have J15 and 2-39. And that's just going to glue right on top like that. And there we go. And now we have J16 and 2-40 here. And again, just gluing right on top. So let's get that done too. And there we are. Now we're going to take J17 and we're going to stick that tab into that slot here on J14. Just like that. Now we're going to take these and we're just going to glue them on here to make a signpost. So let's make that happen. And there we go. And of course the arrow here should be pointing left, unless you really want to be unwelcoming, in which case you can tell them to get the heck out by pointing it right. But this is how it should be as per the instructions. So let's set this to the side. And now we're skipping ahead to step 228, where we have this beautiful M33 here. And that will go into another D13. So just cut the stem off just a little bit, glue that thing in, and let's make us another plant. And there we go. Another one down. Let's see what's next. All right, for step 229, we're going to take this M35 here, and we're really just going to be cutting off the blossom on one of these. Let's go ahead and make that happen. Just like that. And another D13 to stick it in. So let's go ahead and make that happen too. And there we go. All nice and neat, ready to rock and roll. Okay, step 230 should be fun. First, we're going to take this. This is M40. And go ahead and just cut off one of the stems. That's all you'll need for the moment. Now this, you're going to want to break into 3. They don't have to be large. Actually, you may not even use the whole thing. Just 3 more stems. All right, note how I've cut them, okay? Basically, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to take 3 of these. These are M25s, and they're all going to glue right in here, like a nice little bloom. And all of these are going to glue into this bead. This is M83. So we're basically making a little 3-bloom plant here. So let me go ahead and glue all this together. I'll show you what it looks like. And there we go. Look at that. Now for step 231, we're going to do exactly the same thing with another M83 bead, another 3 sections from this M40. But this time, we're going to be using the yellow blossoms. These are M26. And we're going to be using those to create, well, basically a duplicate of this with yellow blossoms. So let's make that happen. And there we go. Another step completed. Looking gorgeous. All right, jumping ahead again to step 233. We have this beautiful M42 piece, and it is going to go into this bead. M73, just like so. We'll glue it down. There she is, looking spectacular. All right, here we are at step 234. We have another of these beautiful M35 pieces, but this time we're not just cutting the blossom, we're cutting all the way down here, about like so. And we're going to do it for 2. There we go. And we have 2 more of those D13 planks, and we're going to glue those in there. Alrighty, there we go. These won't stand on their own until they're glued in, so we will leave them like that to dry, and we can move on. Okay, here we are at 236, and we have M37 here. We're going to take 2 of these blossoms. Looks like right about here should be sufficient. About yay big. And 2 more D13s. So let's go ahead and get those glued together as well. And there we go. 2 more plants ready to rock and roll. Plenty more to go. Alrighty, step 237, basically the same thing, another D13 plank, and this beauty M36. Just slice the stem, glue it on. And there we go. Another one that won't stand on its own, but that's cool. We'll let it dry and go from there. All right, for step 238, we have M30 here. We're just going to take that bloom off. And we're going to glue this down to another D13. And then we're going to add some of this from the M21 to decorate it out. So let me get that done. And here we are with yet another step complete. Beautiful. Let's see what's next. All right, next up for step 239, we have this M27. And again, we're going to cut the bloom off right about here-ish, give or take. And we've got another D13, and this time we have M21 and M24 to decorate it out. So let me get that done too. Alrighty, there we go. Yet another plant done. Almost there. Alrighty, we have two more of these D13s, and we have another M35. We're going to be cutting off two of these blooms and getting them onto those D13s for step 240. And there we go. Two more plants complete. All right, this next part's going to be fun. First, you're going to need to take this wire. This wire actually comes from one of these little boys. You just undo it there, and you get this. And what you're going to want to do is take H17. Note the large hole here. Okay, that is the back of the assembly and at the bottom. Okay, so that means this side here that's got the H17 printed on it is going to be the inside. And from the inside, you're going to want to take this and put this into these two holes, one end here and the other end into the other hole. Just like so. Pull it tight. Try to keep it as even as is possible. Something like that. And now we'll just twist it up. And there we go. We got that done for now. Now we're going to take this M54 bead and a 30 millimeter length of this gold wire, M18. And that's going to string right through the bead. And now we have H19. Note these pegs. That is the hinges. This is a door, okay? Those hinges will be on the right when you're looking at the front of it, okay? This wire will go into those two little holes here, one on each hole, much like this. Try to keep that bead as centered as you can. And again, on the inside, you're going to want to twist it. If all goes well, you should have something like this, and you can just fold this over nice and flat like that for what comes next. These are H7s. Note the round hole, okay? That is where the hinge for the door will go. So it goes in much like that and should rotate. Do not get any glue anywhere near that hole. Okay? So it should go in like that, rotate nice and fine. We've got our H17 that will go on the left side of this box with that hole facing out. Now you can glue this down if you wish. The instructions actually recommend that you do so. This is H18, and that will go on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down, and I'll be right back. All right, there we go. Now we'll take our door, we'll get the bottom peg in for the hinge, and now we have another of these H7 pieces that will go on top. Now, if all goes well, you should have this nice little box here, and this will open and close perfectly fine. Now, if you want to lock it, that's what this is for. You just bring this around and wrap it around that doorknob. Boom, you got it locked. You can cut off any excess here if you so choose. I'm going to wait on that for the moment, but I think we're good. Once this dries and we get ready to install, this is actually where the battery box is going to go. Okay, so it will go like this with the on-off switch fitting neatly into this gap right here. So you don't actually have to keep pulling it open to turn it on and off. I love that, by the way. But for now, we'll set this to the side and let it dry for a bit. And that actually completes all of the accessories. We can bring the model back out, start putting stuff on it. Alrighty, y'all. Coming to this back side here, we are finally going to place our tree right here on this giant yellow spot. When you do, make sure that your LED line goes through that hole. Okay, so let's get that done. Alrighty, look at that. Now we're going to take J5 here, and that is going to glue right behind it. And again, there are little yellow designators as to where. So let's get that into. And there we go. One fence line in place. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, y'all. The next step here is going to be really interesting because we're going to take another one of these. This is M31. We're going to glue the bottom to our tree here and somewhere near the top to the roof. So we get something that looks similar to this. So let me see if I can get that glued in, and we'll go from there. There we go. Look at that. I didn't even have to glue it up by the roof because this is already bent so much, but I think I came out looking pretty good. All right, now we're going to bring you down here. And first up, we have this beauty from step 223, and that's going to glue in that big yellow circle right there. There we go, right about there should be fine. And then we have this puppy from step 221. And that is going to go into that little yellow circle right there. All right, should look a little something like that when you're done. And then in this circle, we have step 222. So let's get that in too. And there it is. And now, along all these little yellow dots here, we have J37. And we'll just go right in there. So let's get this glued in too. Look at that. Now you may want to wait for this to dry a bit because the next thing is to take some, where is it? There it is. Some of this, M43. We're going to stick it in here to kind of make it look like some grass is coming out. So let's let this dry a bit. I'll take care of that. I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there we go. Just a bit of grass coming out the end there. And we are good for the next step. All right, next up, what we're going to want to do is fill these 5 very large circles here with all of these steps from 225. There's 2 large, 2 medium, and 1 small circle, and of course 2 large, 2 medium, and 1 small circle. So it should be fairly obvious where everything goes. Let's get them glued in. Alrighty, there we are. Look at that. Next up, we're going to take one of these lights here that we've done. Line is going to go through that hole, and then we're going to glue the bead right on top. So let's do that too. Look at that. That's going to look beautiful when it lights up. Next up is our welcome sign in the only rectangular space available. So let's get this glued in too. And there we go. Nice and neat. Now you might notice there are 4 circular yellow spaces remaining. Those are for some plants, so let's get those out. Alrighty, we're going to move left to right here. We're going to start with this beautiful piece that came from step 228. There we go. Next up, step 230. We'll go right next to it. Alrighty, look at that. Now, right in front of our light here, we have this beauty from step 229. So let's get that in too. There we go. And one more. That would be step 231 here. And that's going to go right over here. And there it is. Look at that. That looks wonderful. Now we're going to give this an opportunity to dry a little bit because we got more of this. More of this M43. We're going to fill in some of the gaps here. Maybe get a little grass between our steps. We're going to do our best here to make it look great. So once this is dry, I'll get that done. I'll show you what it looks like. Look at this. Look at this. Absolutely amazing. All right, let's see what's next. All right, now we're moving to the other side of the board, and in that hole right there, we have our other light. So let's get that in too. All righty, there it is. Very, very nice. And now we're taking this puppy, and that's going to glue right there in that big circle. So let's get this glued in too. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. Now we have a whole series of little dots here for more plants. So again, we'll take them left to right and get them all in place. First up is this beauty from step 234. So let's get that in. Now we got one of these puppies from 236. So let's get that in too. And this guy from 237 is up next. We're going to follow that up with this guy from 222 in there. There we go. Now we got this little guy from 238. And then this beauty from 239. All right, for these final 3 spots, we have both pieces from step 240, which are the shorter versions. And we have this piece from 234, which is the longer version. Longer version goes in the back, both of the 240s in the front. So let's get those in. And there we go. All of those plants are in place. Now, we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to put some more of that M43 grass in there. However, the instructions had us build these 2 other plants, and I have looked and looked and looked, and there is no place for them to go. So now this side of the build, has our little deck there, and in the back you can see the yellow. That's where the battery box shed is going to go. I don't think we're going to be looking too much over there, but this side, there is a big wide open space, completely unused. So if you want to do some customization, you don't have to put those on at all, of course, but if you want to do some customization, maybe you can put those plants over here. That is totally up to you. In the meantime, we're going to let this dry and then throw in some of that grass. I'll show you what it looks like. And there we go. Look at that. Now, I went ahead and I put those other 2 extra plants here. And as it turns out, I did find this in the instructions, but it's kind of hidden and there's no space on the template here for it. But that's about where it goes in the instructions. And I put that extra plant right there, added some grass all along there as well as here. Now, next up, over here, we've got our battery box that will go right in here. Okay. Now, according to the instructions, you want to put the battery box in first and string the cables through that little hole and then glue it down. I don't want to risk getting any glue on the battery box and accidentally fixing it in there permanently. So I'm actually going to put this in. It's going to make it harder to get those cables through later, but that's the order I'm going to do it in. So let me get that done. And there we go. And while we let that dry, over here we've got those those little yellow spots. That is for J37, another one of these fences. So let me go ahead and get that glued in too. And there it is, looking great. Next up, you're going to want to take this long piece. Let's see if I can find the part number for it. That is M20, and you're going to want to cut 4 20mm lengths off of that thing. Alrighty, now we're going to start on the electronics. Note how I've got these cables in the back organized, okay? That is important. Now, this cable here coming from the upper roof is not long enough to get where we need, okay? Also, there are these 6 cables, plus there's going to be 2 more from the battery box, and they all got to go into that one little hole. So there might be a bit of a space issue to go with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all 6 of these cables and we're going to combine them. So by organizing it this way, what we're going to do is bring these all down and cut them all at the same length, and then strip them about 20mm long. So let me go ahead and do that. Alrighty, so now that we've got all 6 cables organized, cut, and stripped, you're going to want to take the 2 longest lengths of what you cut off, and you're going to want to strip the ends of those as well. And basically what you're going to do is take the 3 white wires from here and this white wire, and you're going to twist all of the copper together, and you're going to do the same for the black wires, or gray in this case. So let's get that done too. Alrighty, now that we've got all of these twisted together, what we're going to do is take one of these, and we'll run our cable through it, and bring it all the way up and over all of this, and you're going to want to kind of glue all of that in place. So let's do that for both the black and white wires. Alrighty, there we go. Now we're going to let that dry before we mess with them too much more. But now it's time to put our battery box in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the two leads, make sure it's off. We're going to take the two leads, we're going to put them through that hole from the inside, and then it will go into this smaller hole, or excuse me, the larger hole here on the base, and the battery box itself will go in there and we'll lock it in place. So let's make that happen. Alrighty, look at that. Battery box in place, cables coming through and into that hole. Now once this is dried, we're going to bring these leads and we're going to put them through that hole as well. And then we will very gently lay this piece on its back so we can access the bottom. Alrighty, so here is the underside of our beautiful piece. And before we start working on the cabling here, we're going to want to take these. These are K4s, and we got 5 of them. And we're going to want to glue them in approximate locations like this on the 4 corners, and then one in the center. These are going to be little feet that'll raise it up so we don't interfere with the wiring once it's done. So let me get those glued in place. Alrighty, there we go. The 5th foot is kind of hiding behind the cables here. Also note, I've organized my wiring. I've used a little double-sided tape. I've got all of the cables coming down here to where the power cables are. And the only step remaining is to trim off these cables and twist them together. Again, all of the whites together, and they go on the red lead. All of the blacks together, they go, or grays, I suppose, and they go on the black lead. So we're going to trim them, strip them, twist them all together along with the power, and then we will use 2 more of these little pieces here to cover them up and keep it safe. Then we should be done. And here it is in the dark so you can see how well lit this thing is. Wow, this looks spectacular. But our forest adventure build is finally complete. And what an amazing piece this turned out to be. Let's get the lights here. And look at this. I love this. It's an absolutely gorgeous piece. It is huge. It is enormous. But we've got this beautiful forestry feel to it with all of the plants, the trees, the grass, even these vines coming up, the moss on the roofs, the flower gardens, even flowers in the rooms, on the deck on the side. I mean, this thing really went all out for that nature feel. But as far as living areas, look at that beautiful kitchen. That is gorgeous. Then we get to this living area, which, as I said when we built it, it is a bit crowded for my taste. Kind of hoarder feel to it, but it's still very pretty. Missed opportunity on the fireplace. I think that could have been kind of hollow with a decoration in there and a light behind it, but hey, is what it is. Up here we've got our library or den. Again, very, very crowded in there. Here's our bedroom. with attached bathroom. Now there's no light in the bathroom, so that's why it looks a bit darker. All of the light bleeds through this open wall here, which pretty sure that's why they left it open. I mean, normally you'd want a wall going to your bathroom, but is what it is. And then we've got this observatory area. Again, more plants, even a little tree. So all of that detail. Absolutely amazing piece. I am happy to have this in my collection. But that's about all I got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the series. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I will see you next time. Have a great day.